Hey, everybody. Welcome back if you're returning. Welcome if you're new here. And thank you so much for joining me today. This week, we're going to do something a little bit different. Instead of individual daily topics, I wanted to go over kind of a series through the week discussing 4 habits we can develop to help us reach our goals, how to understand them, how to nurture them, and really create a powerful foundation for success in our lives. So, I'm going to read you the definitions. I know I said last week I'm not going to read you that much, but today I am. Bear with me. It's useful, for real. Commitment. The definition of commitment is the state of being dedicated to a cause. And when we think about commitment, like I said, we tend to more readily commit to things outside of ourselves than we do to making a commitment to ourselves and our own growth. So, the state of being dedicated to a cause. Commitment is one of the first things that we have to have. If we're not committed to it, we're not going to do it. Self-discipline, which is the ability to pursue what one thinks is right despite temptations to abandon it. And that's where we fall back on that commitment. But we need the discipline to be steady in our actions and to do the hard things. Anything worth having, anything worth achieving is going to require effort. And when it gets hard, that's when we want to give up. And we want to give up because we feel like there's too much mileage ahead of us, right? If we're on a journey from point A to point B and we're looking at the road map and seeing where we're at along the way, we're looking at the mileage. Look at the journey because you're going to get there. And each time you reach a point where you feel like you're not progressing, you're not making the progress that you want to make, you feel like it's not worth it, you want to give up, bang, back to that commitment. Why are you doing it? Why are you doing it? Why is it important to you? And that's one of the first things we have to determine. Like, if you're wanting to create a new life for yourself, what is your why? Are you making changes because you want more freedom? You want more stability? You want more income? All of the above? We have to identify the why. That's the driving force underneath. Sometimes that why just comes out of discomfort with our current situation. We just feel this like it's got to change. So, commitment, self discipline, consistency. Consistency is the achievement of a level of performance that does not vary greatly over time. Keep showing up. You keep showing up. As long as we keep showing up, we're going to keep making progress. And even though we may not be going Mach speed, we're going to cover that mileage. We're going to make more progress towards point B. Intention. And this is the definition for intention, but it's just to give a basis for intentional action. So, a thing intended, an aim, or a plan. Obviously, we have to know where point B is, and we're going to talk about different ways that we can create the roadmap to get there as we go through the week. Excuse me. So, one of the first things we need to do is figure out our why. We have to know why we're making this commitment, because a commitment is something that if we don't feel dedicated to a cause, we're not going to commit to it, right? So, what's it going to take for you to get committed? It's the state of being dedicated to a cause. What is your cause? What's the driving force? Because I think for a lot of us, we need to get pissed off about just surviving, just making it through the day so we can make it through the next day, so we can make it through the next day, so we can pay our bills, eat, sleep, repeat. And that is drudgery. I mean, it's easy to get pissed off about that. Get pissed off about living a mediocre life because you're not mediocre. No one is. We have accepted that as like the status quo that, oh, it's okay. Is it really? Get uncomfortable with being uncomfortable. And I want to share this with you. So use the frustration that you feel over being uncomfortable, to get really pissed off, and then alchemize that into passion and drive to commit to creating what you want for yourself. And there's a story from Les Brown. I love Les Brown. He was a motivational speaker, excellent, powerful, and I actually quoted the story in the "Get Your Shit Together" book because, like I said, I really he had great wisdom and he delivered it in a way that was just so straightforward. So, once upon a time, there was a gentleman walking down the street. He came across a house that had a man and a dog on the front porch. The dog, for some reason, was moaning and groaning. The gentleman who was walking by was curious about why the dog was moaning and groaning and why the man was just sitting there. So he asked him, "Hey, mister, what's wrong with your dog?" The man on the porch said, "He's laying on a nail." The man walking by was shocked and asked, "Why doesn't your dog just get up?" The owner said, "Because it's not hurting him bad enough yet." Do you know some people who just like Do you know some people who just like to moan and groan? They complain about the problem, but they refuse to take actions to solve it. Don't allow yourself to be stuck on a nail. Do something about your situation. You have greatness within you. It's not enough to complain. One must correct. Get up. It's your time. You gotta be hungry. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it. Don't allow yourself to get uncomfortable. Don't allow yourself to get comfortable in an uncomfortable situation. There is greatness within you. Les Brown. And Les Brown, like I said, he has so many of those short stories that just are powerful when you think about it because we do get comfortable with being uncomfortable. And we accept it as that's just how things are until they're not. And what we have to do is really get committed to not being comfortable with uncomfortable. We cannot half ass want change and stay committed. We have to really feel that deep inside us that like this has got to change. I am not going to live with this anymore. Commit to making that change for yourself. Commit to becoming everything that you came into this world with the potential to be. Because most of us aren't even close. Not even close. We don't we have not tapped into the smallest portions of our potential. And then we grumble about how boring life is and how it's humdrum and I deserve better. Well, do you deserve better enough to make it happen? Do you believe that you deserve better enough to commit to making it better for yourself? You have got to get hungry, just like Les Brown said. Get hungry. Feed that potential. Feed that drive. And focus on one area. What tends to happen, we get shiny object syndrome and we start thinking like, for example, you want to grow a business. Well, you can't scale the business before you've established the business. And you have to have the trunk of the tree and a decent root system before you start branching out. So focus on planting the tree, nurturing the tree, getting the tree solid. You have to have a foundation, and that's what these habits do for you is create that foundation so that when you do start to pursue the things that you want, you have the ability to sustain that pursuit. And you actually have the resilience if you need to course correct along the way, then you course correct. You don't quit. Discipline. Sometimes, and it's frustrating, we'll make progress and we see that we're halfway to point B when suddenly the road's closed. We've got to backtrack, readjust, reorganize, adapt, and then go off on another direction to get back to point B. But as long as we have that commitment to ourselves, we have that self discipline, the consistency, and we're taking intentional actions, we're going to get there. But without that commitment, you're going to let it go. Something inside of you is going to want you to just let it go, to stay safe, stay in your comfort zone, comfortable with being uncomfortable, sitting on the nail moaning, wanting change, but not enough to actually go about making it happen. In order to achieve the big things, we have to be consistent in the little things. That's where a lot of times we fall short because we'll allow ourselves to not take the little step thinking that we'll do the big thing. The little step is what leads up to the big thing. If you don't ever plant the tree, you don't have to worry about branching out. It's that small step, that first step. You gotta take the first step, intentional action. And we're gonna talk about ways to go and like really lay out a plan. And it's reverse engineering. We're gonna go through all that this week. Each of these elements that we want to develop so that we have that knowing. And I tell you what, when you know and you know deep down that you can trust yourself not to let yourself down, when you know you have the discipline to continue and you're not going to quit on you, that's powerful. That is powerful. And it's funny, a personal thing for me was like, uh, I've never liked timed running. I enjoyed running, like jogging, whatever, but when it was like a competition, you had to make a certain time and things like that, that always made me really nervous. And I would dread dread the run. And this goes back to police academy days. Because I was like, man, ah, it just was I just had anxiety. I was a good runner. I was fast. I knew I was, but I would always have so much anxiety. But I just knew going into it, I'm not letting myself down. I'll do it. I'm going to do it. And every time I did, and every time I did it better. And so it got to where I would approach it with no big deal. I'm not going to let myself down because I had proven to myself over and over again that I was going to persevere. I was going to keep going. I was not going to quit on me halfway through when I got tired or I got a leg cramp or whatever because there was too much riding on the outcome. And that's where we need to get with ourselves. And most of us, I know I for years, I couldn't trust me because I'd get tired or it would be too much effort or I'd come up with some reason that I could justify as to why I couldn't do it now. And then I finally decided that, you know what? I'm not shortchanging myself anymore. I refuse to lie to myself and tell myself that, oh, it's okay. It's not okay to not reach your potential, to live a life of mediocrity sitting on a nail is not okay. You deserve what you came here to have. We are all born with an innate potential, and our purpose here is to develop that to the fullest of our ability. It's in you, it's already there, it's just waiting. And your job is to feed it, nourish it, get it strong and resilient, and then unleash that onto the world. That is your gift that you're going to bring to the world that you came here already ready to use. And then the world shit on you. It's what happens to all of us. We are put here in a position where there are so many opportunities to not reach our potential in so many ways that we can justify to ourselves why we didn't. Well, I would have accepted that. Don't accept that from you. Don't listen to your own bullshit. Okay? We are the best bullshitters. We can blame other people, but at the end of the day, we bullshit ourselves more than anybody else. We talk ourselves out of the opportunities that we really want to take through our own beliefs about our abilities or, you know, past situations. And again, the past is already done. And the only thing that you can think about from the past is the lessons that you learned, that you're not starting with no knowledge. You have experience. You've been through tough stuff. You've pulled through other things. Pull through for you. Make a commitment to you. Your your passion, your purpose, your best life is not that far from where you are now. It's about developing the mindset and the character traits that are going to take you to where you want to go and knowing that you're not going to just bail on yourself. And it's like we've talked about co-creating with the universe. And I think a lot of times it will come and test us and be like, "Are you still half-assing it?" And think about this, because when you make that 100% commitment with self-discipline, with intentional action, I mean, when you combine all of these things, that makes a very, very stable foundation from which to operate. Well, if you have that in place, that gives that shows the universe that, yeah, I'm not half-assing it anymore. I am all in. I'm all in on me. Because can you imagine if you've ever seen a relay race where one runner takes it like a fourth of the way and then passes the baton, and the next runner takes it a fourth of the way, passes the baton. Say you're the first runner and you go all in and you bust your ass and you are running for everything you've got, knowing you've got just enough to make it to the next runner. And you get there, and all of a sudden they bend down and tie their shoe and they don't take the baton. That's how the universe feels when we're like, yes, I'm all in. I'm all in. And so it's going and working behind the scene and it presents you with the opportunity. And you're like, nah, I can't do that right now. Maybe later. It's frustrating, frustrating. If you ever worked on a team project and you've got that team member who always comes up with a reason, an excuse why they didn't get their part done, and they've dropped the ball and left you holding it. Yeah, we get tested. And when we know that we are not going to give in to the temptation to quit, then the universe steps up and helps us make it happen. So don't settle. Don't let yourself down. And like I said, we're going to go through each of the traits, characteristics, uh, how to make a game plan, make your roadmap to success. We're going to cover that this week, but I don't want to do like one horrendously long video. Besides, I feel like a lot of times it helps if we take a little bit of information, let it soak in, get a little more information, let it soak in, and then kind of tie it all up together. So I hope this helps. And join me tomorrow, and we will start diving into commitment. And I will talk to you soon.